name is Andre. I'm an associate professor, but also the extension vegetable specialist with the ACES, with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. And by the end of this presentation, there will be my contact. You guys can feel free to email, call me. The best way is to reach out the extension system and talking with Chip. Chip is like a good friend and he's a good resource. So you guys are also always welcome to contact him or me. So what I prepare for today is a quick presentation on what are the main crops that we can grow in Alabama. What you should be doing, because you could not always grow the same crop. And the reason is we gonna avoid some problems if we do grow the same crop all the time. So we need to rotate. We need to do succession. We can use some tactics or some strategies like plastic mulching so we can optimizing our production systems. By the end, we also want to select the best cultivar regardless of cropping we are doing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And overall, what are the crop management practices that we should be doing to achieve the highest yields? So for us to start, I just would like you guys to understand that in Alabama, we have weather conditions across the year. So as you can see here, in this graph, in the beginning of the year, 0 days or January month of January, February, we are gonna help you guys. You guys can see here, as we are here, we have cold weather, but as it develops, from the winter to the spring, it gets warmer. More crops can come to the ground. We have our summer period, depending on where you are, is going to be very hot. And then we have a reduction in temperature as we go into the fall and come back in the winter, and this cycle goes. So here is a list on this that all vegetable crops that I would strongly recommend anyone to grow in the state of Alabama. Any of those crops are adaptable to our weather conditions. We have seeds for it. We have several cultivars available for it, and you will not struggle growing those crops. But you need to do proper management, and that's what I want you guys to learn today. So one of the things that I would say is, despite of the crop you are growing, you cannot grow the same crop every single season. What I mean is, if you grow tomato right now, next season or in that same area, I would not recommend you to grow tomato again. I would like you to rotate, because vegetables that belong for the same family, or tomato, eggplants, bell pepper, they carry the same pest and disease. So let's say if you grow tomato in your field this year, and then you have a soil-borne disease that it's there for tomato. Next year, if you put a tomato again, or any of crops from this family here, that is Solanaceae, you're gonna be providing food for that disease. And what you're gonna do is just aggravate the disease. You're just gonna be feeding the disease more and more. And when I say it's not disease, it's the same for the pest. So what we really recommend is you guys to rotate. And the best rotation that we have is plant some crops from the tomato family, Solanaceae, and then rotate with the brassicas, like a cabbage or a broccoli or a cauliflower. Then come with a cucurbit, which is a cucumber or a pumpkin or a watermelon or even a melon. Ideally would be for you guys to come to a legume. Legumes, they require less nitrogen, and because they have more potential to accumulate nitrogen. Nitrogen is the main nutrient for any crop, and is the most one required for Solanaceae crops like tomato. So if you plant a legume before Solanaceae, that's going to serve as fertilizer for these crops. So that would be ideal. So that's why we come with this best crop rotation. Solanaceae crops, tomato, eggplants, followed by a brassica, cucurbits, and then a legume. If you do this crop rotation, that's going to be perfect for you to avoid problems on disease, insects, but also with increase the fertility of your soils. So on a basic level, avoiding planting the same vegetable crop in the same spot, we would say every 2 years, 3 years of rotation. Ideally 5 if you identify a problem for that crop. So let's say if you get fusarium for watermelon, which is one of the main problems, avoid growing watermelon there for at least 5 years. And the reason I'm saying that, because we have done a trial in an area that was reported for having fusarium, and we did not plant watermelon there for 10 years. The year that we put watermelon there, the disease took over again. So disease can stay in the field for a long period of time. So you don't want that. So you want to avoid it. So crop rotation is important. So here is just some benefit of crop rotation. Most of them I already mentioned to you. Improve soil fertility. You're going to increase your organic matter. That's important for you to provide nutrients for the crop. Legumes, proceeding sweet corn or tomatoes are good for fertilization. Like tomatoes is the one that required a lot of nutrients. So that would be something option for you to put a legume before a tomato. If you do crop rotation, you can prevent insects, pests, and even weeds for some in some case. So that's recommended. And ideal rotation, you should think in a long term. So keeping track of what you are rotating is very important as well. Another thing that I would say is plant succession. And I would like you guys to keep that in mind, mainly if you are a small grower. And why I'm saying that, it's because plant rotation and plant succession are two different things. Plant rotation is when you change the crop for a particular area. And succession is when you gonna have different planting dates within the same area to provide your buyer or for yourself fruits or vegetables during the entire year or during the entire season of that crop. So after one crop is harvested, another is planted, and then you just rotate on that point, or you're just successing planting dates. And that's what it is. So the key factor you guys need to know, and it's pointed right here, the main key factors is length of the growing season. Know the length of your crop, know the climate and the crop selection. Length is how long would take from you to put that seed or that transplant in the ground to the time you're going to do your harvesting. And that's what I want you guys to keep in mind. That's important. And why? Because the graphic that I put it in the beginning, you're going to have different growing seasons for different crops. How long it take? Tomatoes take 80 to 90 days for you to have a whole season. Watermelons a little bit longer, 100 days. Cabbage, 100, it can go all the way to 120 days. Potato, even longer than that. Or you can have yellow squash that take 3 weeks for you to start harvesting. So when you want to plant it, that's what I want you guys to know. Are you planting it in a warm season or in a cool season? They are frost tolerant. They can hold the heat that we have in the summer. How many days to maturity? That's what I was just saying. And what is the length cycle? So succession is important for you guys to maintain the produce or the vegetable available for your buyer or for yourself if you're the own consumer, or your neighborhood, or anyone you are attending or you are using your produce. So here is just a good example of a large production system with early tomato plant and then tomato plant 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, just for showing you guys that you can harvest them in different times. And here is the main and most important thing, is how often you should sow. So don't think that I'm just saying, oh, you need to know when to grow, but I will provide that information. So if you are growing lettuce, leaf greens, radish, or spinach, you need to plant those in the field with intervals of 7 days. If you are planting those Asian greens, English peas, sweet corn, or even snap beans, intervals that I would recommend are 10 days. Same thing, beets, escarole, arugula, turnips, summer squash, which is the yellow squash and zucchini, or tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. Those are 14 days. keeping in mind that summer squash that you do multiple harvesting, like yellow squash or zucchini, you can play with that planting date somewhere between 14 to 21 or 10 days. And the reason why is if you, as yellow squash and zucchini, as more you peak, lowest is your yield and lowest is your quality. So if you want to maintain a certain quality, you don't do many peaks. But if you are not caring much about quality and you're caring more about quantity, then you want to keep the harvesting, because you want to increase your profit per acre. You don't want to replant and increase the number of resource required for crop production. So that's why I would say keep in mind if you're growing those squash. And finally, 21 days intervals for carrots, cucumber, mustard, greens, and melons. So this is the information that I want you guys to focus and take notes. I will send Chip this presentation. He's recording the meeting, so you guys can take a look at it later if you're not able to write everything down. But that's the information that it's important here. So switching gears a little bit, now that you know what to grow, when to grow, and how often you're going to be planting it, you need to come with some tactics, which we call strategies of crop management or best management practice. And the first one is plastic mulching. If you are able to lay plastic in your area to grow vegetables, I strongly recommend. The reason is plastic can help you with weed control. So it's hard to get some products, or it's hard to fumigate in Alabama. So if you can lay plastic, it will help you with weed control. Plastic mulching help you to increase soil temperatures, so that accelerate growth. With accelerate growth, you have a better crop development and you're gonna have better yields. And that's exactly what I'm gonna talk right now. You induce the crop development, you provide fertigation through drip irrigation that it's installed underneath the plastic that increase water savings. So now we are not talking about only increasing yield, but we are talking about precise water application, precise nutrient application, and reduction of water use and nutrient using. So you are not only precisely apply, you are saving money with it. And by the end, you're going to increase your yield. Just to show you guys how it's important and why I would recommend it is because the plastic mulching, you can install it and use it for several seasons. When I'm saying several seasons, I say that you can plant there tomato. You install the plastic, plant tomato. You can cut the tomato off and come with a brassica crop. That's the recommendation for our crop rotation, and use the same plastic. And then you can come with another crop. We have proven that it's worth. So just to show you, because what is most scariest is the soil compaction and water availability. So here we have first plastic, second plastic, and third plastic. So we did a trial to evaluate what is the impact of using the same plastic for crop rotation. And what we saw is that as you go from the first crop in the plastic to the second and to the third, we increase compaction. That's not good. But at which point it's not good? Because compaction impact your water availability. And when we measure the water availability, we could see that we reduce the water availability. But again, which point? So here we have the first, second, and third plastic, and this is underneath the plastic. The soil compaction, as darker it is, more compacted it is. The water availability, as bluer it is, or the more water is available. And we grow different crop, yellow squash over it. And what we saw is that as we grow yellow squash in the first plastic, we have a better yield, but doesn't matter if we grow second or third plastic. On the other hand, zucchini, we have the same yield for the first and second plastic, which means the same letters here means that they are the same. while the second and third was also similar. So if you are growing in the third plastic, we would recommend you to grow zucchini instead yellow squash because it's going to yield more, because third plastic is going to yield the same as the second one. So yes, if you are laying plastic, please use for second and third plastic, at least second plastic. And that's exactly where we are focusing on. So if you lay plastic, you're going to be saving money with weed management, saving money with water application, saving money with nutrient application, and improve the quality of your vegetables. We strongly recommend it. But to do that, first you need to select the best cultivar. And then when you select your crop, you know your crop rotation, you know you need to lay plastic if possible. Now you're going to start with a cultivar. I will not go over all the cultivars available for all the vegetable crops, although I would love to, but that would take forever. We have a whole talk only about that in the vegetable school. So Chip, if possible, make them know that we are having the vegetable school where I talk about each cultivar for most of the crop families that we have. So that's going to be a good resource for you guys to select the best cultivar for your area. But the reason why I want to say is because cultivars have been going through crops have been going through breeding programs that make cultivars more adapted to our location. And when I say it, it is for Alabama. We have cultivars that are adaptable for our location. So selecting those cultivars is the best thing to do to improve your yield. Cultivar selection is the best IPM, integrated pest management, because we will allow you to grow crops that are adaptable to our location, resistance to our disease, and provide the quality of vegetables we are looking for. So keep that in mind. That's important. And by the end, we want to talk about what we have to do on crop management practices, like I said. Irrigation, try to provide the properly amount of water. Over irrigating will cause problems with nutrient loss, while lack of water will cause problem with water scarcity, and then your plants will suffer. Provide proper fertilizer management. Know how much nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash you are applying in your field. Those are the macronutrients. Those are the nutrients most required for your crops. Micronutrients are also important, but they already come in the fertilizer bags or in the liquid fertilizer. So knowing your NPK, it's the most important. Like I said, NPK is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. And at the end, an integrated pest management or to control weeds, which is our major problem in Alabama, followed by disease and then insect, is very important. I wish I could go over every single crop here so we could talk about like the weeds that are most problem for each crop. Remember, crops grown in the winter, like brassicas, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, they have different weeds pressure than those grown in the summer, like tomato, yellow squash. Same thing for disease. Different families have different disease, and same for insects. So that's important. Know your crop management practice. We have the vegetable handbook available for helping you guys identify cultivars, identify irrigation practices and fertilizer practices, and even the weeds, disease, and insects available. We also have the ACES website with all this information. But the most important is Chip is there to help you guys as well as I am. So don't be afraid on calling us or contacting us. The most important information that I want you guys here is know how to start. Keep tracking of your records. And then you're going to be able and know who you should contact in case you have a problem. This way you can see the problems. So let me just show you one thing here, why irrigation is important. Here we have a field with two different treatments of irrigation. One where we applied free water, we call fixed irrigation, just right here. And one where we properly control water. And they have two different colors in the field. If you look at here, plants have different colors in the field. Does anybody know what is the difference in colors? So this difference is caused by nitrogen. When you have a lack of nitrogen, your plants will start to look yellowish, like the ones in those two rows here. This means that you apply too much water, that nitrogen is moving deeper in the soil. And to prove it, we did a trial where we injected a blue dye in the soil to show where the nitrogen is going. In the controlled irrigation one, we have the blue dye in our root zone just right here on the first day. Same thing for the fixed irrigation. But after 3 days, while the controlled irrigation were here, the fixed irrigation was even deeper in the second layer of the soil. You can see difference in colors. That's mean difference in layers. And then after 7 days of irrigation, the blue dye was able to be seen at 16 inches of depth in the controlled irrigation, but 38 inches of depth in the fixed irrigation. Most of the vegetable crops, they have a root zone on the 12 inches. So 38 inches is much deeper, which means if that blue dye is your nitrogen, you already leached it below the root zone, your plants will not be uptaking it. You lost nitrogen. In short, or in another word, you are throwing money away as nitrogen. So you don't want to do that. And remember, nitrogen is the most important nutrient for crop production in general, row crops and vegetable crops and fruits. So the take-home message that I would like to bring you guys here is this: know your main crops, know what you can grow in Alabama, do a crop rotation, identify when to plant your crop, select the cultivar that it's adaptable for your location. Being able to lay plastic, it's a plus. If you can't, that's okay. I'm not encouraging you to don't grow vegetable, but I'm saying that that's a better practice. When you do that, you need to focus on irrigation, fertility, and by the end, providing a good integrated pest management. It's the option for you guys. With that, I would like to open for questions.